back, relax, and maybe get yourself a snack. Me and you gonna have a little chat about books. Hey everyone, so I am here today to talk to you about one of my SBFBO entries, and this is called the Humane Society for Creatures and Cryptids, and I am pleased to let you know that this one definitely gets a semi-finalist spot from me, and I'm very excited about that because it's the first one that I've given a semi-finalist spot to. I'm hopeful that this could end up being my finalist, who knows, depends what else is in my batch, but I really enjoyed this and I really want to tell you guys about it because I think so many of you are also going to really enjoy this book. So we are following three sisters and they are called the Lambrose sisters. They live up in sort of the wilderness, a little bit away from the town that they are based near, and they live in this creepy old house that no one has been to, and this house is a sort of rescue centre almost for creatures and cryptids alike. Now, most people in this world don't believe in creatures and cryptids particularly, or if they do, they just kind of have a general fear of them. But they do believe in witches, and they think that the three sisters are witches. They quite frequently get judged for living up alone in this house in the middle of nowhere, and that is kind of their life. But behind the scenes, what people don't really know, and what we as the reader come to know from getting to know the sisters, is that they are a rescue centre for these creatures. They are actively helping creatures, people like Bigfoot, people who are like big, epic, fantastical wolves, creatures who have magical powers, and it's just a fun place to be. So the sisters, they keep this secret about all these creatures they're rescuing, and they want to help them and rehome them with them so that they are protected and safe, because they live in a world where obviously more and more people would be able to hunt down creatures who are supernatural and magical, and they don't want that. They want them rescued and living in a place that is safe and secure, and that has always been their family mission. Right back through the generations, their parents have done this, and even further back, great-grandparents and so on. So it's kind of always been their life mission. That doesn't necessarily mean the three sisters are happy about it. The three of them are quite unique and individual, and we do see from each of their points of view. We follow Melpomene, also just known as Mel, and she is the older sister. She kind of feels a lot of responsibility to take care of her younger sisters and all of the creatures who live with them, and also fix up the house, which is kind of falling apart after all these years of not having an awful lot of money in the family, and so she has a lot of weight on her shoulders. She's also the one who is largely in communication with their mother, their only surviving parent, who is off actually seeking out these creatures around the world, and her mother is, you know, not the most loving, caring mother who checks in all the time. In fact, she's more of a director from afar, shall we say. She is kind of just telling them, okay, by the way, there's going to be another creature coming on this date, to get ready for it. That's kind of the relationship they seem to have a lot of the time. So really, I would say that Mel is acting as a mother figure to the other two sisters for a lot of the story. And being the older sister, I felt like she was someone I could relate to because I'm also an older sister, and I just felt like her story was told in a really interesting way. We then have Calliope, who is our middle sister. She is the one that is quite a recluse. She doesn't really kind of talk to anyone except for her sisters, and even then she's a bit sporadic with that. She largely doesn't leave the house, and when she does, she only goes into the woods surrounding the house with her creatures, and yet she is quite gifted in the way of creatures. She seems to have an uncanny ability to connect with creatures and cryptids, and to be able to understand what they need and help them and gain their trust and work with them. So she is really the one who liaises with the animals, gets to know them, and fully kind of gets their trust for the other sisters as well. So she is vital to their mission. She is absolutely invaluable, and yet she has her own mental problems going on with some things from her past, some trauma that she's been through. And so it's kind of a journey of her kind of understanding who she is and who she can be, and also understanding the magical sort of powers of all her creatures and herself as well, as it turns out. So she's a pretty interesting character, and I really liked all of her scenes in the book. I felt like she was just someone that was really caring and giving, and she doesn't necessarily get enough credit for everything she does, I think. And then the final sister that we have is Thalia, and Thalia is still in school. She's the only one who is still in school. The other two have already left. So we see her point of view as she is actually mixing with the townspeople, which is a little bit of a different point of view from her sisters. They have kind of accepted their lot in life, and she is still very much wishing and hoping that she might be able to escape from her life and what is planned for her. She doesn't really love the idea of staying at the house forever and collecting creatures and cryptids. She wants to do something a little bit more for her, and so her story is kind of about whether she'll be able to escape or not. She also meets a new girl who comes to town, and this new girl ends up being kind of vital to the sisters and their whole life, as it turns out. But their adventure to kind of get to know one another and possibly start a relationship was also really enjoyable to see. There are LGBT relationships and straight relationships in this book, and I really enjoyed all of them. As I mentioned before, the town surrounding the sisters does not really appreciate what they do and does not really understand them, and therefore they are thought of as witches and frowned on by everyone. There's even a society who is against them, so they're pretty mean, a lot of the people in town, and the sisters kind of have to band together a little bit to pull each other out of sadness and, you know, put on a strong face. But they have never really let anyone else in, and it's only when this new girl comes to town that they start to maybe see a little crack into letting others into their world. Thalia also has a way with potions, and she is able to take a lot of the magical properties and items that the creatures have and mix them up into invaluable, amazing medicines and potions that, if the world knew about them, they would be desperate for them. However, she only has a very, very limited supply, and so therefore they don't tell anyone about them because they are very, very top secret. So the plot of this book is largely focused on us getting to know the sisters and then seeing how the town reacts to them over time, and what happens when a new creature is being prepared to come to their house, and two new people are kind of sent along to prepare the house with the sisters, something that's never happened before. And they have basically got to open up a little bit to intruders, and that's kind of the overall plot. What happens when they have to let others inside? I think this really rides the wave between a contemporary book and a cozy fantasy book, because it's a really nice blend of both of the things that worked well in those genres for me. I think there is an element of cozy to this because there are some lovely scenes, some delicate moments, some caring moments and heartfelt moments, and there is a sense of kind of chosen friends and chosen family here as well, which I really enjoyed seeing and getting to know the sisters as they navigated their way through these new relationships and new people who are coming into their lives. There's obviously a lot of magic in the book as well, which is awesome to see, and it comes in the form of these magical creatures who I really enjoyed getting to know, because some of them have really interesting personalities and some can't communicate in quite the same way as others, but I just felt like it was a real hodgepodge in a best way of everything I like and everything I want to see when I'm looking for cozy stuff in a nice long book, so I could really sink my teeth in and enjoy it for a while. But it never felt slow and boring, it just felt like I was enjoying the ride the whole time. So a couple of things that I really liked. The book has illustrations, which I really enjoyed seeing, and these kind of come between chapters, and they are usually either a creature that has appeared in the book or a creature that is vaguely mentioned in the book but doesn't really appear, and it's kind of like a fact sheet for them almost. So you see a picture of the creature, whatever it may be, and then you see a fact about where they got it from and what sort of magical properties they have and a little bit of a description about them, and I just felt like that really fleshed out this world for me. It really made me imagine the creatures and the world that they came from and just got to know them a little bit more, and just it was a really nice touch. I don't know if the author or an illustrator did the illustrations, but I really liked them. I just felt like they were really sweet and really interesting and a nice bit to have in the book as well. So I really liked that aspect. I also loved all three of the sisters. I have to say, it's not often that I read a book and I just think all the characters are great, and I do think that this one, the main characters absolutely are all fantastic, and I just really enjoyed them. I also really liked the new girl who comes to town, and I just think, yeah, there's a lot to enjoy and a lot to get your teeth into with these characters, and they just feel fleshed out and developed, and I felt like they were real characters. The representation of LGBT and queer characters, there are some relationships here, as I said, that are LGBT, and they are front and centre, and I really like that. I also like the fact that there's quite a lot of people represented here who are just different for whatever reason. They don't quite fit society's mold, and therefore they are looked down upon by others, and I really liked seeing them overcome the judgment of others and prove that actually it doesn't matter what people think of them, but those people who are thinking in nasty ways are wrong. And I liked seeing that they were able to overcome and prove that they are not bad people. People just have prejudged them in bad ways. The story definitely feels a little bit like a character study at times because we are just so immersed in these three characters mainly, but I liked that, and I didn't feel like that was necessarily a bad thing at all. And I also felt like I really enjoyed the love interests for this book, which is not something I say very often because I'm not hugely invested in love stories in books, and I don't feel like I need them to be there. But for this book, it made a lot of sense. These characters that our three sisters kind of meet and start to fall for make sense in the context of where they are in life and what's going on with them and the support that they individually need at the time that they meet this person. And I really liked seeing all of them get their happy chance, if that makes sense. Like, they don't have a happy ending yet because it's only book one, but they have a chance at finding happiness with someone else, and that's not really something any of them were anticipating when the book began. So I really enjoyed having these love interests come into the story at opportune moments, and the way that they developed and grew on the sisters I thought was a very natural progress, and I didn't feel like it was super pushy or super unnatural. It felt like these were realistic developments in relationships that could have happened. So I like them a lot, and I do like all of the love interests as well. In terms of things I didn't like, there's really not a lot to say here because I pretty much really enjoyed this whole thing. And as I say, it's cozy, it's fun, and it's exactly the sort of story that I would be looking for and was really pleased to find in this batch of books. So my only real complaint is that book 2 is not already out because I went to buy it and found out it's not out, and I want it immediately because I loved this one and it was just really enjoyable. And I hope that loads of you guys will pick this one up based on this review, because I truly, truly loved it, and I think it's definitely worthy of a semi-finalist place. It may be my finalist, we'll see what else comes along, but even if it's not my finalist, I highly recommend this one. I think loads of you guys are going to really like it. I ended up giving this a 4.5 out of 5 stars, which is a 9 out of 10 for SPFBO, so a really high rating and definitely the highest I've given out in my batch so far. It will be kind of hard to beat this one, I think, for a finalist spot. But I am confident that this one is super worthy of being a semi-finalist, and I would love to know if you guys have read this book or if you plan to pick it up. Please let me know what you think of it. Come back to this video once you've read it and tell me, because I think this book needs so much love. I think it's got like 5 reviews or something. It's not a lot, I don't think, and it deserves way more. Yeah, it definitely needs a lot more reviews, and it's fantastic. All of you should read it. So thank you all so much for watching. Keep an eye on this one as the competition progresses, and let's see if anything can beat it or if this one ends up being my finalist. And I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye everyone.
Thank you for watching my video today. Go pick up a book, then come back and chat with me again.